Well, this could be the first. Is that you guys are being interviewed with my dog Lulu in the room?
Yeah.
Any words?
No. She's quiet when put on the
now,
spot. Yeah, right. Yeah, when you actually want something to say, or to say something.
Not cutting a promo.
Yeah. So I'm here with the American Guns, Ethan HD, Mike Santiago. This is a long time coming. I'm excited to have you guys. And you're at my house. This is like, we're not even at a radio station. We're not in some weird hall like at Washington Hall and like the stairwell. You guys are in my little living room. So welcome to my home.
Yes, thank you for having us.
We were walking up and I told Mike, I was like, what do you think chances are we'll make it to the door before the cops get called? Because I used to live not too far from here, just like on the opposite side of the road. And yeah, me and my roommate both at different times, somebody was like, hey, do you live around here? And we're like, yeah, this house right here.
Was it Jarrell?
Yeah, Jarrell got the, yeah. Gosh. This lady like asked us like if Jarrell lived with us. And we're like, yeah, he's our roommate. She's like, oh, okay.
You know, I'd say I'm surprised, but in the last like year, everything I read in the news, I'm not surprised one bit. It's so sad. I'm not surprised.
Like, can't you tell he looks like Drake?
Yeah, right. I was like, he at least looks like an athlete who could like afford a home out here. Like, give him credit where credit's due.
Well, nowadays you'd be like, you might know him from that video with Michael Jackson,
right? Yeah.
Man,
and if you're in any video with Michael Jackson, you got money.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a Michael Jackson impersonator.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, how many people were tagging you guys with that? I mean, because if you're a wrestling fan, you get tagged with, like, everyone that knows I'm a wrestling fan tags me on every video I ever see that's like a viral hit. You guys are wrestlers, so I can only imagine it's even worse.
Oh, yeah. I remember like when the Joey Ryan video came out, the original one, and like everybody would like tag me in it and be like, have you seen this? Or like, do you know this guy? And it's like, yeah, I know him.
I wrestled him last week.
Yeah. I was about to say, fast forward to just last week and you're on the receiving end of the penis plex.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember wrestling him before that was a thing.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Where at?
When I wrestled him, it was all above the waist stuff. I wrestled him.
He still hadn't found himself yet.
Yeah. I wrestled for him once for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And then I wrestled him again, I think like a year later for the ill-fated Paragon Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
Where I think we had all of 4 minutes to put a match together.
Wow. How do you even do something like that?
It was just like endless stuff. It was just, and we had like a promo beforehand. So we like really got like cut for time. Because like I love Joey, but like as soon as like I knew we had like a promo and everything beforehand, I was like, he is going to milk his entrance and all his stuff. So I was like, this match is going to be really tight.
Wow. That's got to be tough when you walk into something not expecting something and then like, okay, you got 4 minutes, go.
Yeah, in a way I would I almost kind of enjoy the shorter matches because then it's like, oh, I just got to do like the two things I do and then I can get out of here.
That's a good point.
I don't have to be like blown up, sucking wind, all that.
Well, we got so much stuff to talk about. Obviously, there's some pretty insane stuff going on. Is it progress or is it progress?
I believe they would prefer to be called progress.
Yes. Okay.
But we're going to say progress because it's America.
American.
Yeah, it's America.
I'm with the
progress.
American
I'm assuming it's a pronunciation thing.
Yeah. Well, I got it in my head because I saw some interview and someone referred to it. I think it was Rich that does the play-by-play for DEFY. And I saw a comment and someone's like, I'm so glad you pronounced it right. And I'm like, oh, now that's in my head. Thanks a lot. Damn YouTube commenters.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I think over on the other side of the pond, it's progress.
But they don't even say title right. They say title.
True, right? I live with two Brits, and you learn like how messed up like England's English is.
Progress. So I guess we'll go with progress because we're American.
Yeah, it's progress.
Right. Okay. So before we get to that, though, obviously when DEFY started, your first match was against each other. Did you think that here we would be a little over a year later, and you guys are back together, tagging up, and just having an incredible run here in the Northwest?
I'll let you answer that one.
I think so.
Yeah.
I just think as individuals, I would say we have some talent, but as a tag team, we do a really good job of playing off each other's strengths and weaknesses as performers. So I figured there wasn't really like any stable local tag teams. We've been the consistent tag team for the past 7 years now.
Something like that, yeah.
So I just think it was inevitable that it was going to happen. Obviously, with him being gone the first 6 months after the first show kind of helped build it and kind of go, people were like, oh man, these guys were fighting on the first show. What's going on? You know, we gave it some time, came back, shocked the crowd. And I mean, for me personally, I think so. I think it would have been that way.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like, even though originally the plan was for us to be like singles guys, I feel like everywhere we go, that's always the original plan, is for us to be singles guys. And then they're just like, I think we really want the guns. Like, if you guys can just team up again. And I think it's kind of cool to have something to like keep going back to. Like, I was telling somebody about it. I was like, we're like the Run the Jewels of wrestling. Like, we're like,
that's a great relationship.
We do really well like together. But even as like solo acts, we also do like really well.
Right. I mean, you're guaranteed to have a fun match when you guys are in the ring. I mean, every time I've seen you guys wrestle outside of wrestling as a tag team or against each other, I know when I'm in the crowd, I'm just like, this is going to be a fun match. I'm not going to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to grab a drink. I want to see what you guys are going to do. But together, there is some serious magic with you guys.
And I think for me personally, I also think like me as an individual, I don't feel like I would get as over as much as say a Ravenous Randy or even like a Shaft who just came on the scene out of nowhere and just like guys like one of the most over guys I've seen in DEFY, and he's only had like 4 or 5 matches,
right?
About that, yeah.
And
it was like since match 1, all of a sudden the crowd just instantly connects.
Same thing with Ravenous. I mean, there's a lot of talent in the Northwest. Our opponents September 8th are arguably 2 of the best. I've gone on record and said that Artemis Spencer is probably the best unknown around. Like nobody knows who he is, but once you watch him perform once, you're sold.
I remember the first time he came. I already heard about him. I know that he was in Pro Wrestling Illustrated's top 500 one year, and then had an injury, so he was gone for a minute. So I was like, I'm excited to see what this guy has to do and what's going to happen. And then, even though I already kind of had like a high expectation because I heard so many good things, it exceeded that when you see him live. He's incredible, and it's cool to see guys like Shane Strickland talk about how awesome he is, and other wrestlers as well that just came to town and got to work with him. Like, this guy's legit.
Yeah, I think especially because, and I don't think this I don't mean this to be a knock on him, but when you like see his picture, you're not instantly like, oh, this is going to be like some crazy athlete.
Right.
Like, he looks in shape, but you don't like, I think the expectation's kind of like, oh, he's just another indie guy. And then you see him work and you're like, holy shit, like, this dude is unreal. Like, the stuff he can do, like lacing the fingers, bouncing off the ropes. And it's all stuff he was doing like before other guys made that stuff popular. And so I think it's cool for people to finally like get their eyes open to like who Artemis Spencer is as a wrestler. And I think also getting to see him work with guys outside of this bubble. And them starting to realize, like Mike was saying, like, wow, this guy can really go. Like, why have I not heard of this guy before?
And the guy jumps off of a balcony onto you guys. That was at one of the most recent DEFY shows. How do you prepare for something like that when a guy is, I don't know, what do you say, 15 to 20 feet in the air? I'm bad at math, but I'm thinking somewhere within that window, maybe even higher.
It's a lot higher when you're standing up there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just kind of like tucked and hoped for the best, I guess. I don't know. I've seen a lot of Mr. Bill, so I kind of got like an idea where I was going to go.
No in your head.
100%. But I would rather be, I think, the guy on the floor than the guy up in the balcony for sure. I don't know if you can really prepare for it. I think you just kind of like accept that it's going to happen. And then you just hope you don't get hurt. And
takes care of you.
Yeah. And luckily nobody got hurt. The only weird thing I will say about that is there's a picture on my Instagram of us all laying there after the fall. And I remember laying there and I was like, something's breathing on my crotch. And I looked down and like Shane's head is like just resting on my thigh, just like blowing on my and so like I just like politely kind of like pushed his head away.
Like, Shane, you're breathing too hard on my crotch.
And then I like look over because like somebody's like leg is on top of me. And I go to like push their leg off and I feel like khaki shorts. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I look over and it's like one of the security guys.
Oh no.
And I guess what happened was he was trying to get fans out of the way. And he like told this fan to move and then Artemis jumped.
No.
And so he just like got hit with everyone else.
He's like, hey, Jim, this is my last time working security for DEFY. I think I'm good.
Because nobody had told him. Nobody had told him about this balcony dive. So he's just assuming we're fighting over by the crowd because like MJF was like trying to get chairs out of the way.
Yep. One guy wouldn't get out off of his seat.
Yeah. So he just walked over to help and then just got hit in the head by someone.
It's fun when there are so many factors outside of just the match that you plan with whoever you're wrestling. The crowd, for instance. Like I joke about, MJF has an idea of grabbing a chair and somebody refuses to get out of their seat and you have to make that adjustment. Have there been situations where you're just like, I imagine maybe earlier in your career, I think at this point you guys have more confidence and experience to know, okay, I could switch to plan B, no problem. I have things in the back of my mind, but have there been times where you've just been overwhelmed by oh crap, I don't know what to do in this situation. This fan's not moving or this isn't happening. Do you have something that pops into your head?
Every time we dive in Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon fans don't move. If you dive to the outside, Oregon fans will sit there and hold their ground.
Yeah.
And
do they have like a lawyer sitting next to them? Is that why?
I don't know, but I've just accepted it, and I try to go out of my way to like dive on Oregon shows now. It was like I'm just gonna keep diving until they learn to move.
They haven't yet.
No. With like last Sunday, I was wrestling Quiz in DOA.
Yep.
And I dump him to the outside, and I start stomping and like I'm clearly gonna dive,
right.
And I run and hit the opposite ropes. You have time to move. And I come running back, and everybody's sitting there. And as I dive through, I see this one guy just go, no, like this.
I didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
I think the best part was you yelling suicide while you were doing the dive.
Yeah.
Because I was watching, and I started laughing so hard. I was like, did he just yell suicide for this? And they still didn't move.
No, like I called the spot to the fans, and they were still like,
Me and one of the boys were looking, we're like, man, they never move. I think it was CJ. We're just like, what's going on?
Because it can't be comfortable for them. Like it can't be. It's not comfortable for me when I get dove on.
Are they afraid they're not going to get their chair back? Like it just seems like such a weird thing. Like, do they think once I get up, someone's going to take this spot?
Yeah, right.
Maybe they want to be a part of it, like Red Shirt.
Oh, poor Red Shirt. Red Shirt was there for the most baller thing ever. You were there for like.
Was that the match where you guys took on with Penta and Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yes.
And hit the tope con hilo.
Yep.
And I remember like hitting Phoenix, and then just like I knew I hit the red shirt guy behind him, because as I was like running, you can see everybody else moving, and Red Shirt's just hanging out there. And it always reminded me of like,
which is funny because Red Shirt's from Portland.
Is he? Oh, that's why.
Yes,
Yeah, that's why. It's in his blood.
Yes, he is. I talked to him. He's like, I came all the way from Portland. So it's funny you bring that up. Okay.
It's in his DNA not to move.
He's like, what's with the Seattle crowd moving? You guys are losers.
But I just imagine it was like when Ron Artest like ran to Sands to punch a fan.
Yep.
The guy he punched was like the one dude who didn't get up and run.
Right.
And I imagine that was him, like seeing everybody else leaving, like, oh, this is weird. Because I felt like his nose like on my back.
Oh my God.
But then I landed on my feet, like on the chair behind him. Like it was like the most baller landing. And all I could think of was like, Jim's getting sued.
Yeah. I bought that guy some buttons, some DEFY buttons. I was like, I gotta go over there, just kind of do some quality control. I'm like, hey man, you good? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. He was super great. Like he was super cool. But I'm like, oh man, I don't know if a pin's gonna help keep him from suing us, but it seems like $10 well spent. So I'm like, here, man, here's a pin. I don't even, if you sue, it doesn't affect me, but I kind of like doing this job, so I want to make sure it still goes on, because this has been a pretty cool thing that we've had DEFY going on for the past year.
That was me, the last DEFY show. That was it right there.
The Red Shirt incident.
He just buys it up. It's Red Shirt All Pro now.
We should talk about the Lucha, I mean, the match between you guys and the Lucha Brothers, because that was insane. Because the backstory, I don't know how deep you guys want to get into it, but I mean, I think people who will find out just how crazy things were prior to the match will have an insane. I mean, I think people already have an immense amount of respect for what you guys do. Not only just you guys as a tag team, but wrestlers in general. But that was the first time where I witnessed, how are they going to pull this off? Because, well, to go back, I remember I was at a training class the night before at your training class.
Yeah.
And we're talking, and I'm like, you excited for tomorrow? And you're like, do you know who I'm wrestling? And I thought you were messing with me. And I'm just like, no, man, I got the email from the DEFY guys, from Matt and Jim, and all it says is American Guns ... It doesn't say who. So I thought, well, maybe this is a surprise to us, and they want to keep me out of the loop. And you're like, no, I don't know who we're wrestling tomorrow. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And so then what happened after that?
Let's see.
I like your version better.
Oh, Mike, just throw it up on the mic.
Yeah, well, let's see. Matt decided to keep us in the dark for so long. Like, we knew we were on the show. He's like, I got a match for you guys, but I can't say what's going on. We're like, all right, this is weird. So a couple weeks go by, same thing. Hey, you guys are showing up. Can't tell you who you're wrestling yet. We're still working on it. Okay. We get there the day of the show. Still don't know. We get there. Matt finally pulls us aside to the other room, and he's like, "Oh, you guys are working Lucha Brothers." And both of us like just looked at each other, and my first response was bullshit. like because I mean we've already had like those moments with them previously.
Right.
They couldn't make the first Tacoma show, and then there was another show that they were unable to make.
Yep.
So it was kind of like, whoa, this is kind of shocking. And then finally, when he's like, no, they're on their way, we're like, okay. But the funny thing is I guess like Shane and Brody, they all knew because they bumped into them at the hotel.
Oh, funny.
Before. And I went to pick up Brody, and I was like, they're like, oh, who are you wrestling? We're like, we have no idea. You just said GUNZ tag team match. And Brody looks at us, or looks at me. He's like, I know you guys are wrestling. And I was like, oh, are you going to tell me? No. All right, thanks. We're like, finally we get there. We're like, man, this better be like the Rock and Roll Express or something.
Which would be awesome.
That's what I want. I wanted Rock and Roll Express or Demolition.
Oh my god.
I think on the booking sheet, I just filled in the word like Demolition.
Yeah.
Because I was like, worst case scenario. Like maybe that's how wrestling works. I don't know.
And then,
I pay for a ticket even as a ring announcer to see that match.
the best part is half the boys believed it when it said Demolition
Yeah.
on the back.
Yeah. I think it was like, Kevin Cook came out to me. He's like, "There's a wrestling Demolition." And I was like, yeah, brother, they'll be here any minute.
The Axe and the Smasher are on their way.
Yeah.
Get ready for disaster.
First, we're just bringing the repo, man. Fuck it. Bring in Demolition. Why not?
So then, because I know on my end, I show up and I'm like, hey, so what's going on that I can't tell you? I was like, well, I mean, I kind of like to be prepared for my ring announcements to know, like, where are these guys? Like, I'll go online to find out where, like, especially the fly-ins, like, find out where they're from, like, what their nicknames are, whatever it may be, so I don't waste their time. And, like, we can't tell you. I'm like, you got to tell me. So finally, it's like, I don't know, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, we haven't told anybody, so don't tell Mike, don't tell Ethan until we tell them. But they're taking on Penta and Ray Phoenix. And I'm just like, oh, my gosh. So I don't know what time the match ended up being. It might have been like sometime between around like 9-ish. So up until that moment, you have no idea who you're wrestling and have no idea what to plan. And then for those that were there and those that saw it on Defy On Demand, the match was incredible.
Oh, yeah, I was there. Yeah, it was really good, though. I think it was one of our better matches for sure.
It was fun. I kind of think it was kind of a turning point for us. Mm-hmm. Just after that match, we kind of changed our style a little bit, the way we wrestle, kind of adapted a couple things that we've picked up from that match. And honestly, I've been having a lot more fun in our tag matches since then.
Yeah, I think our new style has been like the most fun.
Can you describe what the new style is for those? I'm curious. It's selfish to myself.
It'll be it's a secret for right now, but we'll tell everybody when we win those Defy Tag Team Championships September 8th.
Okay. After the match, you got to do a promo. Just want to let you guys know what our style is now. Is it hard to then put together a match when you only have X amount of hours to do it, and B, you're doing it with guys where English is not their main language? And I know I don't think Penta really speaks a lot of English, so it's got to be. You're just kind of hoping for the. I mean, I'm just asking because I'm curious, but like, is it hoping for the best? Is there some kind of like unspoken language when you're in the ring that you could work with?
The language of wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times, especially with them, they have a grasp of what Americans call certain moves. Mm-hmm. Like lucha, they call things totally different. Like an arm drag is a suplex in lucha. And
really?
Yeah. Yeah, like the American style arm drag.
The American style arm drag is called a suplex in lucha.
So then what's the suplex?
Same thing.
I don't even know if they do suplexes in lucha.
But
that's okay. Yeah.
You can't roll through it.
That's true.
So they have the language of wrestling. Plus, they've been in the States. They've wrestled a lot of American wrestlers. So they have a grasp. If we have like a general concept, of the move, like a common name for something, they'll go, oh yeah, cool. They're like, you know what a lung blower is? Yeah, we definitely know what that is. You know what a Canadian destroyer is? Yeah, we know what that is too. So it's not too difficult, like especially when it's the language of wrestling. And I've heard this from like a lot of guys that have traveled overseas and things like that, is the language of wrestling really translates across borders.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Like, because yeah, like everything in wrestling is kind of just called the same thing, no matter where you go. Like specific lucha moves, like have their own names, but like, yeah, for the most part, like they know what stuff's called, like
right
in the US. And I think it also helps too that like we've seen like Penta and Phoenix wrestle before.
So you kind of have an idea.
So we have an idea.
Yep.
It's almost like I think tougher on our end explaining the stuff that we do.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because it's stuff they maybe haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So it's like explaining like, well then like I'm going to run and do this. Then Mike will follow behind with this. And then we'll send you out and then we'll do this. And they go, oh, okay.
And there's this guy with a red shirt in the crowd that
Yeah.
we're going to land on a couple times.
Yeah.
Just dive on them.
He's our crash pad. So we're going to chroma key him out later. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
So now you guys got 2 big matches next week. You're going to be taking... Okay, Lulu. You got one with Defy and one with Progress Wrestling, and they kind of like, well, the Progress Defy United one is Defiance United on Friday night. The Progress one itself is on Thursday. So we knew already that you were going to be taking on Mustache Mountain, which no big deal. Former NXT champions. That's not going to be a big deal for you guys at all. That's pretty incredible. And it was awesome being able to announce that in front of the Defy crowd, and the reaction that they had was insane. So that was really cool. That's going to be Friday night, but then we find out that you're taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans on Thursday night. All this is at Washington Hall, defywrestling.com for the information. That had to be cool then to get the call from Progress. Hey, we want you to be a part of our show, not just, but you know what I mean? Like you have the Defy Progress show, which makes sense why you guys would be a part of it. I think that's awesome that there's going to be this mixing of the Defy stars against the Progress stars. But here, Progress is like, no, we want you to be in a match with our guys. That had to be a great, just feather in your cap.
It was really cool. I think, not to toot our own horn, it was kind of a no-brainer to bring us in. Just because if you look at the guys they're bringing in for their stateside trips, it's guys like Darby Allin, it's guys like Brody King, like guys Defy already uses.
Yep.
So I think it just kind of made sense. Like we're probably one of the best tag teams in the U.S. right now. Mm-hmm. And, this is probably going to be their only chance to come over to the U.S. probably this year, maybe for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
Until they get those WWE contracts, right?
Yeah. So I think it made sense to like capitalize on putting the GUNZ in there with like their best teams.
Yeah. Yeah, guaranteed great match.
Yeah, because Mustache Mountain, who knows how long they'll be on the indies, and Grizzled Young Vets, I mean, they don't come to the States a lot.
But they're part of WWE as well with NXT. So
Yeah.
with
They're
the
also
UK.
they're also the Progress Tag Champs.
Right.
Hiding behind a lot of paperwork.
There's a lot of stuff going on next week for you guys. That's going to be huge. Does that get in your head at all? Like thinking that, okay, these are going to be matches that are going to be seen by a lot of people outside of the Northwest?
Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Usually not. I mean, I've kind of had that experience before, like before Defy started. Anytime there was like a name that came in and like around the local promotions, we were usually the guys that would wrestle them. So, I mean, for DOA, we wrestled the American Wolves. And just we're used to being in those situations and wrestling those guys. So I think it's more of just not screwing up as opposed to like being nervous about it.
Yeah, I get asked quite a bit about like, are you nervous like wrestling like names? Like the last name I was nervous wrestling was Fit Finley. And then after that, I wasn't nervous anymore.
Was there a certain reason why? I mean, I know he has quite the reputation, obviously, but...
Oh, I thought he was just going to beat the shit out of me.
Okay, yeah.
That was the main one. But then also, like, having a bad match with Fit Finley.
Yeah.
Because you don't, like, he's had so many matches. You don't want to be the guy, he's like, that's the worst guy ever wrestled.
I was just listening to X-Pac's podcast, the most recent one, and you could tell that there was a certain... Like, someone got under his skin at the most recent indie show he did where he went off about how he's like, I don't even know why they put him in the match with me. Do you understand that this is my high now? And this guy effed up my high, and I'm mad. Like, he was legit livid about it. And I was just like, I would feel so terrible if I'm the person that was the reason why he's in that mood. And then you go tune into his podcast thinking, I want to hear what he has to say about the show. And he never named the guy, but you could just, I mean, whoever it was knows it was them.
Oh yeah,
That has to be rough.
but like I'm more nervous wrestling guys who I've never heard of. Like, hey, you want to wrestle these guys who only had like 10 matches, and like you can't Google who trained them.
Yeah,
because like that's what I'm gonna get dropped on my head.
Yeah,
you know, if I wrestle like Mustache Mountain, like I know it's gonna be a good match no matter what. But then when it's wrestling these guys who like kind of suck or like whatever, like that's when I'm like, oh, this match might not be good. Like, oh, I'm probably gonna get hurt. Like they're not gonna catch me or something's gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
But I think wrestling like top level talent, I'm more confident because I know like it's gonna be a good match. You know,
when you are in those situations where you're wrestling someone you've never heard of, can you find? I mean, because you've been training training guys all across the world, and you guys have been wrestling for quite some time. Can you tell rather quickly? All right, I need to make an adjustment. I'm not doing that move later on with this guy. I could already get the vibe that I can't trust that he's going to keep me safe.
Sometimes, yeah. Just in conversations with the guy, just going over things. Just like, hey, what do you like to do? And the answer is kind of weird, and you're just like, all right, this might not make a whole lot of sense. Let's do something different. But for me, I like to do a lot of things that I feel confident that I can do to anybody, unless they're like Moose, where that guy's just impossible to move anyways.
Makes sense. Well, again, people could go to defywrestling.com to get all the information. You guys are both on social media at Real Ethan HD.
Yep.
At Order of Santiago.
Yep.
All right, and go to defywrestling.com next weekend, and then also September 8th. You guys quite possibly we could be walking away as the Defy champions.
Yeah,
I think for sure we're walking away Defy tag team champions.
I mean, we've beaten Artemis and Billy in tag team matches all the time.
Yeah.
It's those one-on-ones that get us.
That's true, yeah.
So, but that'll be fun. Me personally, I'm really looking forward to that tag title match.
Yeah.
Just because of the history between like myself versus Artemis Spencer, Ethan versus Artemis Spencer, us versus Billy Swade. I mean, we've battled them up there. They've came down here and battled us. So it'll be fun because with those guys, you know you're going to have a good night.
Yep.
Yeah, I fully intend, and I know my Mike feels the same way, and I'm sure Billy and Artemis do too. I think our goal is to steal the show. I think there's a blurred area between name talent and like local guys in Defy, and fans like still refer to some guys as local guys and some guys name guys. I think this is going to be like that night when not Psycho Mark, but like the Hardys and Edge and Christian had that ladder match, and then they were like, oh, they're legit.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be what's going to happen when the four of us get in the ring.
It's going to be awesome.
I think that's going to be the night it goes from like, oh, they're local guys to like, oh, these guys are legit. Like these guys can hang.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been the stigma on us right now is that we've wrestled. We're the local guys that wrestle the fly-ins.
Right.
So, and I think from rewatching how I felt, the reactions from people that, you know, anybody that they've put in the ring against us, and as far as Defy's been around, we've kept up and we've hung. So I think that match is going to show that these four guys, they don't need the fly-in to have that match. They're capable of doing this on their own.
I didn't think about it like that, but that's got to be really exciting for you guys when you say it like that. Yeah, it's a chance just to see, like, look, we've got great wrestlers here. You don't need to fly somebody in to put on an incredible match.
And we always have. We're just, It's just such an island in the Northwest. You know, you being from New York, I mean, 3 hours from New York City gets you so many different places.
Right.
You know, 3 hours from Seattle gets you to the border.
Yeah. No, it's like that in music. I remember just playing music when I was growing up. It was easy to play like five shows in 5 different major cities in 5 nights in New York. You know, you go Philadelphia, you could go wherever. I mean, you can just bounce around and it's a drive away. Whereas here, you have to put in some serious miles just to get to a different metropolis city. Yeah, which is rough.
Man, those old days. Sacramento or the Oregon night weekends.
Oh, those are the worst. We for a while used to do would be like it was Kaiser on Friday.
DOA and Kaiser on Friday.
So it'd be Kaiser, Oregon Friday, which is like Salem-ish. And then Saturday would be ECCW in Vancouver, up in Canada. And then we'd have to go all the way back to Portland that Sunday night.
We were doing that twice a month for about 2 years. Just brutal. 1,000 miles, 1,000 miles in a weekend.
So this has got to be refreshing for you guys to have new promotions like with DEFY now. All of a sudden, you have an opportunity to stay in Seattle and do some shows.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to leave the house at like 3.
But your car appreciates it too.
It's nice. You're like, oh man, I only have to drive 40 minutes to the show.
I find I still end up getting home at like midnight-ish.
Well, it's DEFY. Those shows run so long.
Right? It figures like the show's like 40 minutes from my house.
I think Portland was like the last Portland show was like the earliest they've ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like 10:30. I was like, wow, we have all this time.
Yeah.
I know. When I got home, my wife's like, you got home at like 2. I thought you were going to be getting home at like 5. I'm like, yeah, it's a little bit different.
That show flew.
Yeah.
And nobody left their seats even when we left. They stayed there the entire time.
They're just waiting to come back.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, man. I'm looking forward to next weekend for you guys, and really looking forward to the September show now, just knowing that it's going to be you guys taking on Artemis and Billy. That's going to be insane.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
For those that want to check you guys out, go to DEFY On Demand. You can see plenty of matches. Mike Santiago, Ethan HD, the American Guns. Thank you guys.
Sweet. Thank you.